Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Property Lifestyle Mastery podcast, and we are having open conversations about all facets of investing in property and building a business that ultimately helps you to create freedom in all of its different forms. And this week we're really zeroing in on relationships, and relationships within your business, and how also your relationships outside of the business and those with yourself really have a massive impact on how you are able to move forward and how enjoyable the whole process is. So that's what myself and Dom are talking about. So we're going to be talking about attachment styles, your relationship with money, and how you being aware of the conversation that we're about to have here can actually, as a very first step, make very big differences in the decisions and how you interact with others. Also, we are on the home straight here with the final episodes of season 2 of the Property Lifestyle Mastery podcast. Just to prepare yourself, we are drawing this season to a close over the coming few weeks. So take a deep breath and enjoy this conversation. Here is myself and Dom. Hello, Dom.
Hello, Jackie, and hello to the audience as well.
Looking forward to this week's episode on attachment styles, and I'm very excited to see where the conversation takes us and how we can apply this to the various people that we're working with. So give us a background, Dom. What are we talking about here today?
Okay, so attachment styles. Now, we have, as we've discussed before, relationships with people, obviously, with loved ones, parents, but then also work colleagues. We have relationships with money. We have relationships with food. So we have relationships with everything. So it's important that we understand our sort of default style of relating to others in particular, so that we can spot ourselves, and also maybe we can spot other people's attachment styles so that we can better communicate with them and provide a secure way of interacting that builds more trust. Because if you don't have quality attachments, well, you tell me what happens when there is insecure attachments in with anyone. It tends to,
I guess it's just unsatisfying relationships that probably cause a lot of stress and a lot of friction. And not very joyful to be able to be a part of. Like, you don't truly get to connect with people, which is like what we all have a very deep need to be able to do.
Yeah, exactly. So it's exactly right. It's a fundamental human need, and we are programmed as human beings to be with other people, to be with others. And actually, when we have a secure attachment style, it makes us braver. We're more confident, we're more resilient, we can put up with more. Whereas on our own, if we're not part of, effectively a tribe, or certainly, a partner, then actually we're more vulnerable. I see that so clearly with some people. Maybe they've got divorced, and or they don't know very many people in, say, an industry like in property, for example, and they struggle to then either raise finance or find deals because they don't know enough people. Because they've kind of kept to themselves and actually not got to know others enough in order to be able to grow their business. So actually, good quality, secure relationships where when you trust yourself and you feel secure with other people, that's going to build your capacity for raising finance, for doing more deals, and business generally. So it really is the foundation of strong relationships is the emotional foundation of resilience, basically. So
Really nice. So what are they? Are there 4 attachment styles?
That's right. Yes, exactly. And we've kind of touched on one already, which is secure. So secure people, they like themselves, they feel confident with who they are, and they're secure in the relationship. So whether it's a partner relationship like you and Dave, or even a business partner relationship with like you and me, they feel secure. And security is probably 50% of people are secure. They don't worry unduly about the relationship. They feel safe, which is good. Another attachment style would be anxious. Someone who's constantly worried about losing their partner or what the other person might say. I know previously I had an anxious attachment style to my dad because he was an authority figure as a child, and when he got angry, that wasn't good. So I was always slightly anxious and worried around him. So Anxious is one. Can you think of anyone that you know that tends to have an anxious attachment style?
Yeah, well, like lots of different people. I think probably yeah. What than oh, just like observing because you get to observe lots of different people that you work with who are in similar
Mm,
positions to us in property, and just seeing how. I guess anxious people, you always see that they are always trying to look outside to try and solve their problem. I
mm,
guess I don't know if what you
yeah.
think about that, but like obviously, we do a lot of financial reports for people working with
Yes.
the PCO service, and you see people who are like anxious about money and trying to basically pin their hopes on not feeling anxious around having this wonderful
Mm,
reporting. But ultimately, the reporting is never going to solve the anxiety because the anxiety is just there in relationship really to money.
yes. That's fascinating. And that's a huge one, right? Especially, I think, in property, because people go into property because they think it's going to solve their anxious worries about money the whole time. And actually, what does it do? It just accentuates them,
Just
of course,
more
because
things, more mortgages, and more stuff that can go wrong. Like, yeah, it, but it's always going to be there until you actually get to the root cause of dealing with that anxious
yeah.
attachment to whatever that thing is, or maybe just anxiety in general. There's always going to be something that's going to be worrying you.
Yes, yes, exactly. And so understanding that anxiety is worry about the future. That's kind of what it how it's defined. Yeah, and they're very people who are anxious are also very sensitive to maybe other people's moods, their partner's moods, but also to the feeling or lack of money, perhaps in this instance. And they're quite reactive. They doubt themselves. They doubt their skills and knowledge and capacity. So, these people who maybe come to you to sort out their cash flow or give them cash flow forecasts, and then they still blame blame others for all their problems. It's like, yeah, they clearly have an anxious attachment style. Maybe this is a training that we should do for people on the
I'm sure that a
PCO
million
stuff.
trainings that are going to come out of
Yeah,
this podcast episode.
yeah, exactly. And yeah, and also these people may struggle to communicate effectively as well in this instance. So um, yeah, it's interesting to watch them and how and when they are triggered about um, that particular relationship. So that's anxious, and then you've got the opposite of that. Well, not opposite, different style, which is avoidant. Now, hands up here. This was definitely me in my last relationship. We love independence, so much so that we might avoid closeness, possibly even intimacy. We keep people emotionally distant because maybe there's a fear of being hurt, um, or we just don't know how to handle it. So whether it's we don't have, no, so, some people they don't really pay attention to money, like they have maybe scrunched up bills, notes in their wallet, and they don't really pay attention to money. It's kind of just like very laissez-faire and not really paying attention to it, even though actually it's probably they should if they want to be richer. So yeah, avoidant attachment style. Can you think of anyone like that in your world?
I guess I'm just wondering with all of these things, is it all on like a spectrum, right? In different parts of your
Mm,
life, you can be different things. Because I probably would count myself as probably more avoidant than anxious.
mhm.
I would say. I
Yeah.
think it's yeah, same as what you're saying there. Really, just like wanting to almost keep people at a bit of an emotional distance because if they don't want or need you, then you can't get hurt. Like if you
Yeah.
build up this connection with someone and then they decide that they don't want to be friends with you anymore, like that kind of hurts. So I think that's probably
Mm,
something that
mm,
I've learned how to do. I was I was born 6 weeks premature and spent a good part of my life in like one of those incubators. And I think
oh,
that
wow.
like very early part of
Yeah.
life, like not enough human interaction
Connection.
kind of basically makes you, well, I think potentially in my case, you don't have those people there. So you almost want to keep people at a bit of a distance because you don't
Mm.
trust that they're going to be there. So yeah, I probably put myself in that camp.
Yes, that's really interesting, isn't it? And noticing that is good, right? Because the awareness of something is the first step to healing it. Um, and here's the thing: if you've got a partner, business partner, life partner, other work colleagues who are secure, someone who is avoidant effectively can be healed because they are secure. You'll pick up on that vibe effectively, and because you're the average of the people that you spend most of your time with. So all of these, both the avoidant and the anxious person can be more healed by being around people who are secure, grounded, and confident in whatever relationship it's in. So yeah, that's the avoidant. And also, it's quite easy to just last thing on the avoidant style is that they tend to focus on other people's flaws or on, yeah, maybe their lack of money or where it's not going right, rather than focusing on where it is going right, which is another interesting thought on that one. And then the fourth attachment style would be disorganized, which is both anxious and avoidant. So there, you can kind of spot yourself if you're in that camp. It's only about 5% of people in this camp, by the way. But if you have short-lived um, relationships, generally speaking, and very short reconciliation as well, so you might, whether it's fall in love, fall out of love, and then get back together again, it's all short-lived. So it's because they get close, but they're anxious about it. So then they're avoidant, they run away, then they start a fight, and then they're avoidant again. And anyway, reconciliation is is short-lived. So yeah, often people on the dating scene. I feel sorry for people who are single, but people on the dating scene, chances are the people out there are going to be mostly avoidant or anxious, and that's why they're out there still.
Really? Why is that, do you think?
Well, if people can't maintain a long-term relationship, it's because they're going to be avoidant or anxious or both.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then that probably does say that since I've been with Dave for like 20 years, that probably does make me secure.
Yes. Well, certainly, yeah, exactly. Secure in that relationship, as you say, because we've got
Yes.
different relationships. There's business relationships, there's partner relationships, there's money relationships, food relationships. So it's yeah, we are a mix across all of them, I suspect. Yeah.
So then
Yeah.
what do you think is how can we use this information like in a day-to-day environment of running our business? So if we know maybe like a builder, for example, so we're working with a builder and we think that they might have an avoidant or one of those more or the less insecure attachment styles,
That's
like
right.
how can we use this information?
Yes. Well, it's funny actually because builders, the barrier to entry to being a builder is relatively low. So there are a lot of people who are, been maybe in the industry for a while, or they've just started out, but they haven't yet got to know themselves properly. So um, it is very common for builders in particular to be fairly either avoidant because they don't like the confrontation, or quite aggressive because actually that is the aggression is um, protecting them from effectively getting close and from being what they feel like attacked if they're not doing the work properly or things like that. So I'd say you can spot it. This is the thing. If you can spot it in the people that you're engaging with, either maybe it's your solicitor, or maybe it's your builder, or maybe it's the mortgage broker, or maybe it's I don't know any other trades maybe that you deal with in your property portfolio. And then knowing that actually the way you need to deal with it is to be secure and approach them not with aggression, but actually, being open to go, look, it looks like things aren't going quite right. How can we fix this? Because here's the thing, most people approach a problem and they go, I know the answer. I have the solution. I'm right, you're wrong. You need to listen to me. When in fact, one of the best things I ever learned from Stephen Covey from The Eighth Habit, chapter 10, where he said, when there is a problem, agree that you will listen to each other fully and you have to stay quiet until the other person is finished. Then you need to repeat back to them what you heard, and they need to make sure that and feel that you've understood them correctly. Then, step three, effectively, is to agree that whatever you think your solution is, you can find a better one by working together. And I just love that. I was like, oh God, that's such a simple framework for solving problems. Because it's true, we come to a problem, we go, I know what to do, this is what you need to do, shut up and listen. And actually, it's like they'll have an opinion too, and actually people need to feel heard, number one. And then number two, actually maybe there's an even better solution that you haven't yet come up with yet. By working together, you can come to that solution. So that's
Is it the wrong conclusion of me to jump to go, really, I want to primarily focus on working with people who have a secure attachment style?
Mm,
It feels
ideally.
a bit discriminatory, but actually, um, it seems like you're probably going to have to be a lot more cautious working with those who have insecure attachment styles, and you're
Yeah.
more likely to be, well, like blindsided is probably a strong word, but caught by surprise.
Yes.
So we had a team member who joined us this week, and she, after 2 days, basically told me that she couldn't hack it,
Mm,
and we haven't really done anything after 2 days. So how, that basically, I'm thinking about that through this lens of going, maybe there's something along these lines that's going on there that it doesn't make rational sense for what we've gone through over those 2 days together for this
mm,
to be the outcome. But if someone was more of an anxious
mhm,
type, potentially they could read into a lot of things or be concerned about a lot of things that actually are not a concern, and as someone who had a
mm.
secure attachment style would have been fine. Do you think that's
Yeah.
a fair conclusion to come to?
About wanting to work with just secure people, or about
But
how
about
you
this particular
understand.
instance, both of those really, like as a general thing, and also, do you think that there could be anything in that, in this person who it hasn't worked out with?
That's a great question. So here's the thing. I think people who are, I mean, unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, people who are more capable tend to be secure.
Mm,
And because they have confidence, they have self-confidence, like, no, if I can't do this, I'll find a way, or I'll learn
mm,
from someone who's already done it, or I know I can work through it. Whereas someone who's maybe been, shot down a lot as a kid, and they're worried about what other people might say or react, because they've had a, traumatic childhood, or the teacher's been telling them they're not clever enough, then they're more likely to maybe react as either avoidant or anxious or disorganized. So I think it's one of those ones where if it's kind of a less well-paid job, we probably need to be a little bit more adaptive because they're not as skilled yet. But people who are better paid should absolutely, I would have thought, be on the whole a little bit more secure and certain. Hopefully not narcissistic, but often are.
mm.
And they're going to be the ones who, and that's why people who are certain and confident tend to earn more. So I think it's one
Interesting.
of those ones where we have to be aware and that we need to adjust in order to get the best out.
Accordingly. Is
Yeah.
there a quiz? Like, can someone like fill out a quiz to find out their attachment styles? That's going in my
Most,
recruitment process.
yeah. Quite. I'm sure there is. I forget. Yes, I'm sure there is online. I think I might have done one a few years ago. Yeah. And it also, by the way, this also links to many other things that we've talked about, like the five love languages, for example. Actually, quality time or words of affirmation, all these things can help make people more secure in their role or in the relationship. So understanding how best to communicate with people is probably the best
Mm.
solution to
Oh, that's
yeah,
so
to dealing
interesting,
with it.
isn't it? Like, because I think obviously, like words of affirmation in more of a business context, does that mean obviously you don't like words of affirmation? Talk to me. How would that look in a business context? Words of affirmation. Is there an
I think
equivalent?
for anyone starting out, for example, early on in the job, telling them when they've done a good job and acknowledging it so that it
Mm.
kind of builds their confidence. So having that regular praise,
Yeah.
I think is probably going to help build their confidence, which will make them feel more secure. If you gave none, then they might continue to feel a bit more anxious until they got to know you better, effectively. Um, so words of affirmation, acts of service, doing little things to go, I really appreciated what you did. So words first, and
Mm.
then and here's a little bonus, or go and enjoy a coffee at Costa on Us, or whatever it might be, as a gift. And then quality time, also spending time with them, talking around the meeting. Sometimes at the end you chat about something personal, or maybe at the beginning you chat about something personal, just to build that rapport. Um, I guess one of the love languages is physical touch. Obviously, that not appropriate in any situation.
Harassment in the workplace.
Yes,
Tom
or
told me
the
to.
Definitely not. But yeah, the other four, time, gift, service, and affirmations can help to make people more secure for
Mm.
sure.
Oh, it's just so interesting, isn't it? Like, obviously, this is what's present for me is someone new coming in and it not working out as someone to be in the team who I thought was going to be great. And, when someone's been with you for 2 days, there's not a lot of praise that can yet be given,
Yeah,
and if that's, but maybe it's just this is a part of it, which is maybe look at the situation with fresh perspective, which is what I love about you, Dom. Brought some something helpful. That's another test in my hiring process, which will be awesome.
yeah.
Um,
Your home process is just going to be a test after test after test after
yeah,
test
this
to
is
work
the
out if they're
fourth
going to be
test.
right.
Is this a FTSE 100
Wow.
company?
Yeah. Wowee. And but the thing about it is actually, yeah, you don't want people to be fake. You want people to be authentic from the day one. And it's almost a case of, I don't mind if they're not maybe as skilled yet, because actually that the skills can be taught. Actually, what we really want is the right attitude. And the right attitude is that openness to learning, and willingness to learn and grow and have the difficult conversations, which takes courage and bravery, but actually that's also a skill in itself. So yeah, all important good stuff.
So would you say that you are primarily secure attachment type, but in maybe specific areas of life have been more avoidant?
Mm, yeah, absolutely. I think looking back, as people know who listen to the podcast regularly, they know um, 15 years of marriage and now divorce. So, but looking back, I learned about myself and I was definitely avoidant. Whereas my wife was actually probably secure as well, although maybe a little bit avoidant. Whereas now I feel very secure. Partner is slightly more anxious, I'd say, although less so now. Um, so yeah, I think it's good to try and spot yourself and be aware so that you can do something about it. And equally, working with you and Dave, I think a little bit anxious earlier on, but more secure now. So it's one of those ones that it definitely does change over time for everyone. So anyone listening who's got a team member, if they're new, yeah, I'd say be nice and
Rapport.
build that security in
Safety.
them.
Mm.
Yeah, and that's and by being vulnerable, that's a great way of doing it. Showing that no one's perfect and it's okay to get it wrong as long as you make up for it effectively and try and get better. It's where
And
mistakes happen again and again and again that's not so good.
not going to work. So, what would you say if you find out from listening to this that you are maybe in one of the insecure attachment styles? What can you do to help to change that? Because it sounds like it's quite a challenging theme to run through your life if you spend a large amount of your time feeling like this. Can we
Yes,
change that? How do we do
yes.
that?
Yes, we can definitely change it. So one is obviously, ideally working with someone who is already secure, because that's going to help a lot. It's also good to become aware of where did it come from, because awareness is key. Once you have awareness, you can do something about it. Until you've got awareness, you can't. So looking back at childhood, what were your parents like? Um, what have previous relationships that you might have had been like? Because you'll be massively influenced by your parenting and your experiences growing up. And so identifying where trauma effectively might have occurred to make you a certain way is going to be absolutely critical to get right. Um, and so through the awareness, you can put in the effort to then go, oh no, I've spotted myself. No, I'm going to be courageous in the face of fear and uncertainty right now, and I'm going to have the conversation. I'm going to say this. I'm going to do that because I want to stand my ground and I believe in what I think. Um, so awareness, effort, looking back over trauma. You can also get therapy, RTT, like we've talked about, rapid transformational therapy, hypnosis, visualizing your more confident self, and also pushing yourself outside your comfort zone. The more people who are very successful tend to be willing to be more uncomfortable. And that can be put into the context of exercise too, right? So if you put yourself in situations where you're exercising, it's really hard, but you kind of know that the benefit is going to come after the effort, then actually you'll do the same in business. You'll go through the discomfort knowing that actually the benefit will come in the longer term. You don't want to get too caught up in it, though. It's not all effort with no reward. You have to remember to balance that. And actually, all of us, when working in business, we have to know when to work really hard. Because if you work really hard all the time, you lose because you have no life.
You're exhausted.
Um,
Yep.
exactly. But also, we need to know when, if you enjoy life a little bit too much because you're not working at all, and it's all sort of just let's see what happens and enjoy myself the most because life's short. Actually, you lose too because you haven't progressed, and progress is happiness. So the constant balance of effort and taking your foot off the pedal,
Rest.
relaxing is the constant question I think high performers and people who live a good life are asking themselves, and that's the thing we are constantly juggling with. But the juggle is the joy as well.
It's I've been reflecting on the kind of the seasons and how that links to kind of what we're doing in
Mm,
business. And I know there are like business programs where they kind of design the quarters of the year around the seasons
mm,
and move through different flow. And it's not something that I've ever really done or focused on, but I'm just seeing more and more how I'm trying to follow more of my what feels good to me at all time as my like internal barometer at the moment. And as you listeners may or may not know yet, we are bringing season 2 of this podcast towards a close over the coming weeks.
mm,
And that's partly because of that, right? Like you kind of had this burst of creativity and ideas and doing to make this podcast happen. And it's interesting because I'm kind of being, drawn towards not doing that for a while. And it's
mm,
interesting that that's kind of coincided with autumn and the changing of the season, and actually the same thing
mm,
happened at the end of season 1. And I think that's an interesting rhythm to be more in tune with that and allow ourselves to go through that different cycles of more pushing and doing and striving, and then just resting and tidying up, and
mm,
the spring cleaning concept. I think that's like an interesting way to think about that, balancing that rest and that doing in a way
mm.
that just naturally is nature. Is luckily in the UK we have 4 seasons. Like in Europe,
Four
4 seasons
seasons. Yeah.
is glorious. Like I feel I would really miss not having that if I lived in
Yeah.
another part of the world. So what do you make of
Mm.
that?
Yeah, I think that's a wonderful insight, and I think the way the world is going is that people are becoming more in touch with themselves and more in touch with nature, understanding the importance of connecting to source, Mother Earth, going out for walks in nature and actually, gosh, this is so nice because it's great being inside too, but particularly in winter when you want to be nice and cozy. But having an understanding that everything is cyclical. You can't be on the whole time. You can't stay awake for more than X number of hours a day. You need sleep. We have to go through that cycle every day, effectively, of waking. That's sort of spring energy. Um, Getting some work done. Getting enjoying the work, hopefully being really productive, and then kind of slowing down at the end of the day, and taking things a little bit quieter and relaxing a bit, and then going to sleep. The winter. So knowing and acting on that, not just daily, but also yearly and quarterly, perhaps, is a great thing to be aware of and to bring into your awareness in life, so that you can, I think, enjoy life a bit more, and maybe it's a less, was it Gandhi who said there's more to life than speeding it up? It's like,
Mm.
yeah, actually slowing down occasionally is really important too. Enjoyment can be had through doing things slowly. I went for a walk really
Mm.
slowly the other day. It was so unusual. It's like
Yeah,
I'm
you're a
not used to
fast
walking
walker.
this. Yeah, I'm not used to walking this slowly, but I was with a 6-year-old and it's like I have to walk slowly. But actually, it's really enjoyable. Yeah, it's like I've just experienced a new.
A way of seeing the world, basically.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's really interesting. And I guess we've been talking a lot recently about like 2025 and it being like astrologically a big year of change. And
Mm,
a part of that is like a lot of, I guess it's also enjoying the death of things, because like that's a lot of what we're seeing this year in terms
yes.
of things breaking down or things changing.
Mm,
Things have to die for there to become anew, and that's like a part of that cycle as well.
yeah.
And that's just feels fitting for this conversation just to kind of naturally have come up as part of this conversation with this essentially season 2 of this podcast
Yeah.
dying and thinking about having it be reborn probably in spring next year.
Right. Yeah.
It's like it's like clearing, isn't it? It's just like
It is
enjoyable.
cleansing. It is cleansing,
Mm.
isn't it? It's a bit like a spring clean. It's nice to, once you've done the spring clean, put things down and let them rest again. So yeah, I like what you say there, and it makes a lot of sense. And yeah, 2025 has definitely been a massive change, a year of change. But as the people know the saying, if one door closes, another one effectively has to open. You have to close one door in order for another one to open.
Mm.
And evolution is change is the only constant. Evolution is natural, and actually, although we crave certainty, and people will, do pretty awful things for certainty over actually allowing things to naturally
Progress.
change,
Yeah.
yeah, and progress and move on. So yeah, another awareness thing is actually just know that yes, you're constantly craving certainty, and that's what kind of brings you happiness is having that certainty. Actually, can you be okay with not knowing and just be
Mm.
okay with a transition period?
Whatever happens, everything's always worked out all right in the end so far.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Was it?
So, what is
Yeah.
your main takeaway? I guess two takeaways from you today, Dom. Takeaway on attachment styles. What would you like people to take away and think about off the back of this conversation, and also thinking about this season of the podcast coming to an end? Your
Mm.
final thoughts on season 2 and any words of wisdom in your last episode with me of the season.
Okay, no pressure. Okay, so on the attachment styles, I'd say, as I mentioned before, effectively, awareness is key. So, what is your attachment style? What do you think you are? It's interesting when I had the conversation with my mum. She's like, "Oh, I think I'm avoidant." I was like, "Yeah, you are." So spotting yourself, maybe having a conversation with your partner about it, because then actually that might bring you closer. And by the way, that doesn't have to be life partner. It could also be business partners or investors or builders or other things. Just to have the conversation about the different styles and see and allow people to guess who they, which one they fit into. That would be one takeaway from that point. And then in terms of, yeah, coming to a conclusion on the podcast, well, it's always a joy to do. And I feel even more blessed that people actually listen to it. So thank you to the listeners for taking part, because it's, the best thing in life is to do what you love and then share it. If you can share what you love to learn about or do, then you're going to live a good life.
Thank you so much for joining us on this latest episode. And we have another 4 episodes coming up for you before we wrap the season. If you have enjoyed the latest season, please do drop us a review on whatever platform you're listening on. Everyone thinks that they're going to do it, but so few people really get around to making the time, and we'd so appreciate it. Sitting here in our echo chamber, we'd love to hear what you think. This time next week, you'll be joined with Dom and Dave, and they will be talking about KPIs, how they can drive you or derail you depending on how you do it. So how you can get them right in property. So fantastic episode, detailed Dave really doing his thing. So until then, have a fantastic week ahead.